right, one more time. Solving equations. Here we go. 2 plus 3 equals what? Okay. Whoops, my pen's not writing now. There we go. All right. And so what do I fill in this blank right here? What plus 3 equals 5? What is it? 2. Okay. Do you guys recognize that this is algebra right here? When you found an unknown right there, didn't you? It was just a blank space. I could also, could I represent that with, let's say I do this. If I ask you what P is right now, look at the screen. What would you tell me? It would be 2, right? Good. So yeah. All right. So by subtracting 3 from 5, we get the answer of 2. So now let's look at the equation that you have in front of you. Let's all engage, please. Make sure we're looking at the screen and following along. And the equation that we're going to solve is P plus 4 equals 1. Now we can do this in a couple of different ways. We can use the number line. Here's where we end up, 1. We added 4, which means that on our number line, we would need to go backwards 4 until we get to the right place. What plus 4 equals 1? Tyler?
Negative.
Yeah, -3. And so, yeah, we would write P equals -3. I know that's already in your notes for you, but okay, here's another method. This is what you're going to end up using more. In the not this year so much. You can, but you don't have to. Method 2 is called balancing equations. Now, we kind of gave this a try at the beginning of the year. We didn't get very far with it, but we're going to do this again today. So method number 2 would be subtracting 4 from both sides. This is what we do when we do unitary method. You do it instinctively. Well, maybe not instinctively, but you know to do it, all right? Often you won't write it on the left. You'll just write it on the right. Like if I were to ask you like 1u plus 2 equals 4. What would be 1u? It would be 2, right? So you don't write it, you just know you would be able to tell me 1u equals 2. All right, so now we're going to learn like the proper process. Here's what's going on in your brain when you do that. Okay, so our expression again is P plus 4 equals 1. I want to get P by itself because I'm solving for P. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this number out of the way. And the way I do that is by making it a 0. So what do I need to add to 4 to make it a 0? Elijah? Yeah, I need to add a -4, right? Or subtract a 4. They're both the same. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and subtract that from both sides. Now, here's the deal. If I'm going to balance my equation, it's against all laws of math to only subtract from one side. That would change the equation, right? If I just said P equals 1, is that right? No, I can't just say like, okay, P plus 4 minus 4 equals 1. Then the equal sign is no longer an equal sign, is it? Like that doesn't count. That would not fulfill our expression right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And this is how I show my work. My next line of work would look like this. P plus 4 minus 4 equals 1 minus 4. Now what's P? What is it? It's what? It's still -3. Hasn't changed at all. Yeah. But so now I've gotten P by itself by getting rid of that 4, and I have the right answer over here on the right. When we balance equations, remember, we've got to do the same thing to both sides. All right, we can't do anything to one side that we don't do to the other side. You'll go to math purgatory for that. It's not cool. Okay. All right, number 3, solve 2y equals -14. Okay, now we don't have, oops. Why is this coming back? Oh, I have another one. I missed a slide. I'm sorry, you guys. Okay, P plus 4 equals -1. All right, P plus 4 equals -1 instead of 1. All right, method 1. Use the number line. Here's where we end up. We add a positive 4 to P. Where did we start? P plus 4 equals -1. Tyler? Yep, -5. Good job. Okay, method 2. We're going to balance the equation. Okay, write this with me, you guys, especially if you're taking notes on your piece of notebook paper because you lost your day 10 notes. Make sure you're writing each line that you see pop up down. You don't need to write method 1 and method 2. You can just write the equations down. But all right, now we're going to do p plus 4 equals -1. What do I need to do next? I want p by itself on the left. What do I do? And we're not using the number line right now. I need to get rid of that 4. I need it to go bye-bye. What do I do? And by getting rid of it, I mean, let's make it 0 so we don't have to write it. How do we do that? Alda? Well, but let's just refer to this side right now. Yes, you're right. But why am I subtracting it from -1? Yeah, so I need to subtract 4, not just from -1, but from both sides. My reason for subtracting 4 is because I've got this positive 4 over here and I don't want it there. I want that to end up being 0 so that I just have p by itself. Okay, so I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. All right, what does p equal? What is it? -5. Is -1 minus 4 -5? Yeah, good. Okay, let's do another one. Why don't you try number 2 on your own? See if you can balance that equation. Got x minus 3 equals -4. Now this is a little bit more intuitive. Before we had p plus 4 and we had to subtract. What would we need to do in this case to get x to be by itself? We want that -3 to end up at a 0. Agree? Yeah, you're good. Elijah? Okay, give people just 30 more seconds to process. Okay, what do I do? Elijah. Now, if I do x minus 3 minus 3 equals -4 minus 3, that's going to give me x minus 6 equals -10. That's okay. Nope. Let's try again. Tyler? Remember, I want x by itself, so I need that -3 to get up to 0. No, we're not, that's not our second line of work. So you're right that x will equals -1, but what I'm looking for is how do I balance this equation? Okay, we're using method 2 right now, where we're going to add or subtract. We're going to try to isolate x. This is called isolating the variable. What can I add to this right side of the equation so that x can be by itself? We need this -3 to get up to 0, so I don't need to say, add or subtract anything else. Caleb? I would add 3. So this would be your next line of work. Eyes up here. You guys need this. You don't know how to do this. X minus 3 plus 3 equals -4 plus 3. So this is the element that I added right here. Okay. All the notes with you. Okay, so do you see what we did right there, you guys? We started with x minus 3. And we decided to add 3 to both sides. So if we were to write a line of work in between, now I have x, what's -3 plus 3? It would be 0. Yeah, I would have, why don't you go ahead and write this? This is the goal. X plus 0 equals -4 plus 3. Okay, so now I don't need to write x plus 0, right? I can write x equals something. What does x equal? -1. Good. How are we doing with that? You guys have done this before. We're just learning how to write down properly what's already in your brain. We've been doing this all year long with unitary method. You just have not written the steps. All right. Next one, we've got 2y equals negative 14. What coefficient can go in front of a variable and we don't write it? Kala? No, what coefficient? A coefficient is this guy right here. What coefficient do we not write when it's in front of a variable? Yes, 1, exactly. So how could I get 2y to equal a 1y? How could I do that? Mateo? I would divide both sides by 2, exactly. So here's what I'm doing in that step. Divide both sides by 2 to get just y. Okay, so that means that I'm going to be able to cross cancel those 2, and I'm left with y equals negative 14 over 2. So what's the answer? What is it? Negative 7. That's not too hard, right, guys? No. Okay, let's do another one. 3y equals negative 9. Now what do? I just want 1y. How do I get to 1y? Ashley? Yeah, do you guys think this is easier with division than, yeah, it is. Okay, because you can see this is what we do with unitary really frequently, isn't it? Yeah, we're going to divide both sides by 3. I can't just divide one side. That's illegal. So we're going to do 3y over 3 equals negative 9 over 3. What is y in this case, Ray? Negative 3. Great job. Okay. Now let's switch it up here, you guys. Next one we have is 1/3 p equals negative 3. I want that 1/3 p to be 1p. What do? Multiply, divide, help me out. Ainsley? Yes, I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3. Great job. Okay, so we're going to multiply both sides by 3 to get p by itself, or to get a 1p. So we've got 3 times 1/3 p equals negative 3 times 3. Okay, so these cross cancel, and I've got just p. What does p equal? Austin? Negative 9. You guys are doing algebra right now. So it's like legitimate algebra. You need to write down all of the steps, all right? Because when you're doing legit algebra, there's no like, I did that in my head. Your pre-algebra teacher is going to be like, yeah, sorry, you're going to need to show it. Okay, Mrs. Dilly is really, really good about helping you guys show your work and keeping you accountable in that way. So heads up. Accountable, yes. All right, let's do some more. We've got 1/4 p equals negative 4. What do? I'm going to solve for p. Gabby?
Multiply both sides by 4.
Great, yes, exactly. Multiply both sides by 4 to get p by itself. What does p now equal? Make sure you have that line of work down. It says in your notes for you to fill in. What is p? Nora? Negative 16. Nice job. Okay, how are we doing? Are we going too fast? Are we doing all right? Next one's a little bit harder. We've got 2/3 q equals negative 4. Okay, this isn't like a slam dunk. What do we do now? I want q to be a 1. What can I multiply by to get q to be a 1q? This is a tricky one. Annie? Yes. Multiply by the reciprocal. Everybody say reciprocal. Good. You're going to hear that word a lot in the future. Okay. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 3/2. Nice job, Annie. Here's how I set that up on this line. 3/2 times 2/3 q equals negative 4 times 3/2. And we can cross cancel. We get 1s over here just to make sure we did the right thing. We've got a 1q. And we've got negative 4 times 3 over 2. Can I cross cancel on this side? Okay, I sure can. Yep, that becomes a 1 and this becomes a negative 2. Okay, so q equals negative 6. Good job. Alrighty. All right, number 8. 4/5 R equals -8. What do I do? I know you know. Good job. Kendall, what do you think? Yeah, I would multiply both sides by 5/4 to get R by itself, or to get 1 R. Okay, so here's what that looks like. 5/4 times 4/5 R equals -8 times 5/4. Raise your hand when you have the answer. And your answer should look like R equals. In your notes for you there. R equals, Alex, -10. Nice job. All right, go ahead and do number 9. This one is a little bit tougher. You can use whatever method you want. So this time you've got 2 minus x equals 3. You can use the number line, or you can balance the equation, but it's kind of tough to balance the equation on this one. So go ahead, but give it a try. Liam, what's the answer?
-1.
X equals -1. How'd you get that?
So I used the number line.
Use a number line. Okay, good job. All right, so x equals -1, and you can see 2 minus -1 would equal 3, right? Because that's really like a 2 plus 1. Here's how we would balance the equation. This one's tough. This is why I wouldn't require this of you. We would have to get x by itself. So what we would do is we would subtract 2 from both sides. So, but that would leave us a -x. So the operation always goes with the number that follows it. All right, so that would look like this. So write this down. If you guys are into this, it would look like this: 2 minus 2 minus x equals 3 minus 2. And then you would end up with a -x equals 1. That's not the answer though, is it? So how would we get -x to just equal x? What would we divide by or multiply by? We can do one, or we can do either one. It wouldn't matter, right? Well, no, because that would equal 1. Okay. What times if this is a -x, I can multiply it by something to make it a positive x. What could I multiply it by? Yeah.
-x.
No, because that would give me -x squared. Alex? No? That would be a -x squared. Austin? Yes. I can multiply it by a -1 or divide it by a -1. It wouldn't matter. Here I'm showing dividing by a -1. But yeah, that would mean that this would just give me x equals 1 divided by -1, which would be what, guys? -1. So x equals -1. All right, so go ahead and work on the TOEO and the exit ticket. Your TOEO is in your textbook. So you'll need to open your textbook. Okay, thank you. One minus x equals -4. Who's got an answer for me? Mike way? X equals 5. Yeah, great job. Okay, so x equals 5 on that one. And that's another one where it'd be tough to balance equations, but you could do that. Maddie,
Oh, sorry.
are you raising your hand for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, were either one of those for questions or just, okay, just making sure. All right, 1/5 p equals -5. All right, Maddie, tell me what to do. Okay.
1 times 5 over 1 is typical. And then you and then equals -5/1 5/1.
Great job. Good job. P equals -25. All right, 4y equals negative. Go ahead, Kitty. Well, why don't you start and let me tell you if you need to switch courses. Uh-huh. Okay. Right. What did you say y equals? Yeah, you were right. Y equals -4. That's exactly what I wanted. So to get there, what you did in your head, Kinsey, is you divided both sides by 4, didn't you? Yep, and then those cross canceled and you ended up with y equals -4. That's perfect. Nice job. Okay, so how are we feeling about this? On the homework, you will, let's actually take a look at it. Okay, this is workbook exercise 4. And whoops. Come on.